Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the introduction there. My name is Griffin Swanson here from Professional Advantage. And just to confirm, can you see my PowerPoint screen right now?
Yep, we can see your screen, Griffin.
Perfect. So basically how today's going to work is I'm going to take everyone through a short PowerPoint here, explaining some benefits to using the product of collections management. After we get through that short PowerPoint, we are going to hop right into GP, and I like to break the demonstration into two different parts. So the first part is going to be more of your day-to-day collecting activities and centralizing customer information. The second part of the demonstration will transition over to the automation process of collections management. So I'll make that transition clear as we're going along here today. It's going to take me about 40 minutes to get through today's demonstration, and then we'll leave the end of the session open for a Q&A for any questions that do come across during today's demonstration. So yeah, as mentioned there, collections management was originally developed by Professional Advantage back in the late 90s, and in the early 2000s, Microsoft actually took the product on as a core product, sold it inside of Core GP for a number of years, for almost a decade or so there, but just really couldn't keep up with the support and development of collections management, so they transitioned the product back to us in 2013, and we have been supporting it ever since. So I don't know who we have on the call here today, but if you did make that transition in 2013, you would have access to the product still today. For those who didn't make that transition, we do have to get them transitioned today, but it doesn't sound like we have that problem here. So let's go ahead and not wait any longer. We'll kick it off with the PowerPoint here. So first off, I like to just go through and discuss some of the problems that customers are seeing today when they're doing their collecting and how collections management would solve those problems. So I like to highlight here first that there's a lot of decentralized information in the sales and accounts receivable areas in GP. One problem we're seeing today is companies just don't have the ability to keep collection history on their customers inside of GP. So they may print off an aged trial balance, they may posted notes, or perhaps have shared an Excel file. But the main problem with that is there's really no way to share those notes, conversations, or history with other users, at least not inside of GP. So collections management adds value in number one, the collections main window, which is really going to be the command center for this product, and it's great for ad hoc inquiry. You can use this main window for tracking and creating notes, setting up follow-up tasks, creating actions on invoices such as promises to pay, or maybe it's in dispute. You're also going to be able to access what we call a task window, which is going to be your to-do list for this collections module. Now you also notice there that collection notes can be created from the main window as well. The notes have historically been the hub of collections management, really the main functionality, and they allow your users to create actions, keep history, and notes on customer invoices, and then you're also going to see those notes act as a follow-up task. Second pain point that we see a lot of our customers have is there's a lot of inconsistent follow-up, and with that follow-up, you're perhaps using a lot of manual communication. So our collection plans here allow your users to spend less time searching for customers, spend less time creating emails, and attaching invoices manually. So these workflows are essentially a set of actions suggested automatically based on the due date of a customer's invoice. So you can use the predefined plans that we have set up with the product, or define those plans on your own from scratch, really tailoring those to your different customer types. You will then process those actions suggested by the plans in similar groups, one by one, or all at one time, and I'm going to show everyone that in today's demonstration. Lastly here, bottom line, collections management is aimed to reduce your bad debt and improve your cash flow. So I have a number of performance reports that I'll show you here today. We have an accounts receivable summary window. There's some smart lists and some SSRS report templates that come with the product, and then we also have some individual collector performance reports built in the product as well. The last thing there with collections management, it also calculates your day sales outstanding, or DSO. So that allows you to track your DSO over time and really measure your return on investment of this product. And the last two slides kind of highlight that return on investment of collections and how you can track that DSO. So a good statistic to calculate your return on investment is DSO, and that's because your DSO is indicating how much you're selling and how fast you're getting paid, and then that can really indicate how effective your collection process is working. So the example I have here on this slide, just highlighting for simplicity reasons, if you're a $36 million company a day. That's roughly $3 million a month or $100,000 a day. Let's say we implement collections management here, use that as a catalyst to decrease our DSO. The example I have here, let's say within the first year of using collections, we've decreased our DSO from 45 days down to 40 days. So just down by 5 days, that would result in another $500,000 in your bank account. In the same light here, here's a simple cash benefit analysis, which really just gives you a better idea of how much more money you could collect by decreasing your days sales outstanding, and then also based on some national averages on what's paid relative to due date. Here's what $1 is worth in relation to days past due. So after looking at a few of these things, it's easy to see why having a good collection system is important. So like I said, pretty short and sweet PowerPoint there. Let's hop into GP at this time. Take you through collections management, but just a couple of notes here before we hop into the product. Note this product is designed to manage a collection team, but it's also a great collections tool in a single collector environment. You'll notice in the demo today that the navigation and visual queue features are the same as in other GP modules. So that allows you to work between these modules with ease. Now I do have my demonstration set up today in GP 2015. Current functionality is supported on GP 2018, GP 2016, and GP 2015. We do have code for older versions, but those will no longer be enhanced going forward. I also have a number of shortcuts here on my home page here today, and that's for demoing purposes. But just know when all functionality and windows are installed, they will reside here in the sales area in GP. All right, let's take you through the product here then. So I'm going to start with that collections main window that I mentioned. I want to show you the importance of these fields inside of this window, and I also want to demonstrate a number of actions that we can do from here as well. So again, two different parts to today's demo. First part here is starting with more of your day-to-day collecting and centralizing customer information. So we're going to start by selecting one of our customers here. I just chose Aaron Fitz Electrical. Now the main window, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is really your starting point or command center for the product. It's going to provide a detailed record of your contacts with your customers. So you pick your customer as we just did, Aaron Fitz Electrical. You can certainly sort through these different address IDs that you have set up for that customer. So if you're trying to collect from that customer from more than one location, this would allow you to do that. You can see we have a contact person here set up for our customer, along with their phone and fax numbers. I can see the last time this customer made a payment and how much that payment was for. And then their payment terms are listed directly below that. So Aaron Fitz Electrical was on our net 30 payment terms. Year-to-date sales, this number here is really just giving us a better idea of how big of a customer we're trying to collect from. And then underneath that we have unposted sales, unposted cash, and unposted orders. I like to mention that these three links here are actually drill backs to some core GP windows. So I just drilled into that unposted sales, and you can see here it's pulling open a SOP document inquiry, so that's core GP, as well as this receivables inquiry window, also core GP. So again, you drill into any of those three links there, going to pull open some similar core GP windows. We then have our customer's aging listed off to the right-hand side of the window here. This customer's aging is being pulled right from accounts receivable, so this is going to be as current as your last aging routine. Now you can drill into each of these aging buckets and you can display that. You can see here pulls open a transaction window and shows us the specific invoice or invoices that fall under that specific aging period. We then have the total due displayed here. So the total due amount is going to be the total amount that you've invoiced your customer and what they owe you here. Below that you can see their credit limit, their salesperson, and their territory ID, and these fields as well are just being pulled from some core GP windows. We then have the parent ID displayed here. That allows you to see if your customer is part of a national account. So at this time I typically ask customers, are you currently using the parent-child relationship function, national accounts in GP? If any of you are stating yes, just know that that parent ID will be displayed here for that customer. And then we also have a national accounts option at the top of the window here, where you can display just a single customer as I've been showing you, or we can switch that to a group that displays the entire national account. We can see all the notes that have been created for that parent and child, as well as their accounts receivable totals. But for today's demoing purposes, let's just stick with a single customer. We then have the collection plan ID displayed here. That's actually going to be a part of the second part of this demonstration, that automation process. I just wanted to briefly mention, if your customer was assigned to an automated collection plan, you'll see that here in the main window as well. We then have the total amount outstanding here. That's going to be the sum of what's been invoiced to your customer, as well as unposted sales and unposted orders. And then the credit manager field listed here, that allows the customer to be assigned to a specific credit manager. A large group of customers can also be divided amongst the collection team if necessary. All right, so we got the notes listed at the very bottom of the main window here. We can create unlimited notes per customer. We can create those new notes from scratch at the top of the window here. But let me pull open a note that I've created to give you an idea of how these actually work. All right, so when those notes are created, it is going to save the date and time your user created that note. You can see it displays a caller ID here. That's going to be the actual GP user who created this note. You can see we have an address and contact person set up for the customer here, and then we can assign this note to different priority levels. The bottom note, or bottom portion of the note, is note text. So this is all open text fields here. You can type in whatever you want this note to read. We'll even see customers copy and paste email conversations in here. So in this case, it looks like we spoke to Bob Fitz. Bob was telling us he's going to send payment by early next week for a couple of invoices. The next thing your user will want to do then is assign this note to an action. An action is something that you've done, such as a reminder or a follow-up, or it can be the status of an invoice. Maybe it's in dispute with the customer, or maybe the customer's promised it for payment. So let me show you some examples of these actions here. So these actions are all configurable. You're going to be able to set up whatever actions make sense for your practice or even your specific collecting activities. Most of these are straightforward here. We got checks in the mail, sent to collections. Maybe there's a certain point in time when an invoice gets old, we send it to a collection agency, disputing an invoice, so on and so forth. So each of these actions here can be categorized with one of three different action types. First type we have there is a promise to pay. So our customer has made some sort of notion that they're going to submit payment on that invoice. Second category is special circumstance. Anything deemed outside of your normal day-to-day collecting activities will fall under that. Third category being dispute. Maybe you're just going back and forth with the customer disputing what needs to be paid on the customer's invoice. And then if you didn't want to categorize it with one of those three action types there, you can leave it blank as an action type is none. So you will want to assign an action to each of your notes. So on this note here, we had a promise to pay. So our customer is promising to pay the invoices on this note. We then have the action date displayed here. This action date leverages the note as a follow-up task. I'm going to show everyone this task window here in just a few minutes. But that way you'd have this note in here, let's say the customer did not submit payment on those invoices. The action date comes due. It's going to show up on your task window telling you, hey, customer so-and-so did not submit payment on this. We have to follow up with them again at this time. You can then assign this note to different collectors. So if you came in and you created a note that isn't for a customer that you particularly manage, this would allow you to assign it to the appropriate credit manager. You'll then select the documents or invoices this note pertains to. So if you drill into that, that's going to pull open a transaction window here. It shows all of the open accounts receivables that that customer has. So we simply need to just check the invoices we would like this note to be attached to. So you can see there I have two invoices attached. Once we select those invoices, it's automatically going to default this action amount to the total amount of those invoices we selected. Now you can change this action amount. It is editable. I like to tell customers if you're trying to collect from somebody and they're telling you they can only make a partial payment on this, you can change this action amount to the amount that they said they're going to pay. So for example, let's say we reach out to Bob Fitz here at Aaron Fitz Electrical. Bob comes back and says, hey everyone, I just can't pay that $3,000 today. However, I do have $2,000 that I can make as a down payment. You can change that action amount to the amount that Bob said he's going to pay. That way when that $2,000 comes through, we can apply that payment inside of GP and then follow up on the remaining amount with a different note. We have the status listed at the bottom here. Let's say this note was open. That means that it has not been paid for. Once that payment comes through, we can mark it as complete. If for any reason we needed to cancel a note, or a note was canceled by one of our plans, we have status reasons for that as well. But before I move on from that drop down, I want to mention that in our task window, we have a button in there called Mark Complete. And by clicking that, that goes through and finds all the paid invoices and automatically completes them for you. So that's basically just saving your collectors from manually having to check whether or not a customer has paid each outstanding invoice. Again, it will automatically do that for you. So I'll go into more detail as we get into that task window. One sort of lesser known features here with the notes is that anytime someone comes in and edits the note or makes a revision to it, it is going to keep a history of those revisions. So you drill in that window there. You can scroll back all the way to the original note. You can see the revision dates. And then you can also determine if it's been revised by a different collector. So those are the collection notes there. Again, one of the central focus points of collections. Before we drill into these actions here, I want to drill into this total due drill back. It's going to pull open another transaction window here, but some really nice visual cues we get in here. This little information icon, that's letting you know that there's a note attached to that document. You can also notice there are some letters next to these as well. So this P here is going to denote that the invoice has been promised for payment. We can see the total amount down here and what the customer is promising to pay us. The cool thing about these promise payment notes is that let's say that action date goes past due, your customer did not submit payment on that invoice, it's automatically going to change that P into a B, which denotes a broken promise. So then we can easily see which ones did not get paid on time. A couple more letters at the bottom. D denotes that it's in dispute. S denotes special circumstance. Again, you can see the total amount being disputed here. Total amount deemed special. And then the remaining amount that your customer owes that hasn't been categorized. So these are where those action types come into play, and you can inquire on groups like that. All right, so let's demonstrate a number of those actions that I've been talking about here, starting with the task window. So this task window was designed to be your to-do list for the day. What we've done is we helped create it to make sure that you do your prompt follow-ups first, or the ones that are upcoming. So you can actually sort by a specific collector here. You can sort those tasks out. You can actually change your action date here. So we'll see some customers come in here and do a specific day for collecting, a given week, or even a given month. So to give you an idea of what I mean by that, you can see there I have 4 tasks scheduled right now. Let's say I extend that out 3 weeks, redisplay that. You can see it's going to add those tasks that are in the upcoming weeks as well. Now we can open these notes from this window. We can mark them as complete. You can see all the completed notes that you've already had here. And then this is where that Mark Completed button comes into play. So you can see there we give you a little description basically on what that's going to do. But again, what we've designed this window for, or this Mark Complete button rather, is to automatically mark outstanding items as completed if all the invoices attached to the note have been paid in full. So again, this functionality is basically just saving your collectors from manually having to check whether or not a customer has paid each outstanding invoice. It's automatically going to do that for you. One other thing worth mentioning is you can select the collector ID here, and I kind of touched on this already, but if you didn't have an ID selected and you just left it blank, it's going to show you all of your open tasks. So maybe you got a collector who's on vacation, you wanted to make sure you did the follow-up for that user. This would allow you to work on other people's tasks. So that is the task window there. Next thing I want to demonstrate is a one-off email. So let's say we reach out to Aaron Fitz Electrical, we get a hold of Bob Fitz. Bob's requesting we send him some invoices. We can quickly send a one-off email from this window here. If the customer's maintenance card is set up with a contact and email address inside of GP, you can add that right to the window. You can manually type those in as well, copy in, or blind copy anybody too. Now in collections management, you have the ability to set up what we call collection letters. Collection letters can easily be created for printing, faxing, or emailing to customers. And letters is kind of an older term, but if you think of them as message templates, we get to use them in this window here. So these are all the templates I have set up here in my environment. I'm going to show you how to set those up in a few minutes, but let me just select one there to give you an idea of how this works. So once you select that template, it's going to display that message in the body of the email here. you can see it opens up this transactional window at the bottom for the customer, where we simply need to just check the invoices we would like this specific email to pertain to. Once I have those invoices selected, I'm going to come up here and click this blue refresh button. At that time, it's going to do a few things for me. Number one, it's going to list out those invoice details in the body of the email. Number two, it's going to print those invoices, and then it's also going to attach them as PDF documents. Now, a common question I always get here is, okay, Griff, well, if we don't have anything in the GP folders for these invoices, and I have something that's in my File Explorer or my desktop, how do I go and attach that invoice? We do have this attachments button at the bottom here. That would allow you to browse through that File Explorer or your desktop and pick any of those invoices that need to be attached externally. All right, so that's the one-off emailing there. Let me quickly show you how to set up those letters. So we come into the sales area, come into the cards window, scroll down, and you see we have this window called collection letters. Now it's going to pull open this letter maintenance window here. We allow you to create these letters from scratch, and you can create as many letters as you really need to, tailoring those to your one-off emails, or as you'll see here in the second part of the demo, you can actually attach these to your automated collection plans as well. So you can see all the ones I have set up. Again, we allow you to create these from scratch, but we do have a number of predefined fields here that you can actually work with. So you can actually attach invoices to this specific email. So maybe you focus in on all the overdue invoices. You can copy in that customer salesperson or blind copy them. And then the cool thing, in my opinion, is the functions that we provide here. So you can see we give you 4 predefined categories there. Maybe we just start off with some customer information. Make that letter sound more personal. We put the invoices in the body of the email. Again, a lot of different grouping options there you can work with. And let's say we wrap it up with some collector information so the customer knows how to get a hold of us. So really a lot of different functions you're going to be able to work with there. Again, tailoring them to your one-off emails or, again, the automated collection plans. And for customers who are really just getting started with collections, we also provide a list of sample data here, and that would allow you to populate a number of actions, collection letters, or collection plans into your environment. Same thing with those, you can always go in and edit them or just purely delete them. Hopping back into the main window, I have one more action I want to show you here, and that's how to build a query. One of the first problems we've seen with customers doing their collecting is finding the customers they should be calling first. That's because most customers using GP collect using an age trial balance, where the customers are sorted alphabetically and not by the collector. So we can use this build queries window here to target the customers that we specifically want to work with. So I'm going to show you this standard collection query here first. And this is a query that allows me to develop a list of customers based on a number of different restrictions. So I can sort by a specific customer, a specific credit manager, a balance that a customer owes, or if that balance is greater than their credit limit, different aging periods, due dates, different notes, and different action types. So again, a lot of different grouping options there we get to work with to focus in on a specific group of customers. So let me pull open a query that I've created here. Description is high risk over credit limit. So I have the restrictions down at the bottom. I want to review that. Shows me that I'm trying to find customers on my high risk collection plan with a balance greater than their credit limit. So I have my restrictions set here. We then come in and click this query. That's going to run the query. We'll click yes. At that time, it's going to tell us how many records of ours it searched, how many met the restrictions we just set, and of those who met the restrictions, I can see their total balance and their overdue balance. So I click OK. It's automatically going to save that query for us. And you notice we went from viewing all of our customers to just the customers in that query. So first and foremost, we can hit this customer ID lookup, find those 2 customers. There's their balance overdue and total due balance. Once that query is created, we have the option of sending a letter, statement, and invoices to all the customers in that query as well. Again, to show you that, I'm going to come into the sales area. Scroll down here on the transactions window this time. Now you see here we just built that query. Below that we have the query letters option. So right away we can review here. There's the query ID, high risk over credit limit. There are the 2 customers who meet our restrictions. From this window we could send them those letters, statements, or invoices that they owe on. And you'll email that from this window here. Hopping back into the main window one more time, I do have a second option available for these queries. That's this advanced query. So this is something we added to collections, give or take 2 years ago. It is still a fairly new feature to a lot of our customers. Basically what we're allowing you to do is use SQL script to query your data. So if you want to manually write something here yourself, you can certainly do that. And maybe you have a database administrator who's familiar with SQL scripts and wants to create something for you. You can forward that to them, have them execute a script, and then use that in the advanced query as well. So basically this was just designed to find a group of customers that you aren't able to find with the restrictions that we've applied here for the standard query. Again, just using SQL script to query that data. So that being said, that wraps up the first part of this demonstration. Again, that was more of your day-to-day collecting and centralizing customer information. All right, so at this time, we'll transition to the automation process. All right, so we're going to start here with what we call the collection plans. Collection plans are a set of steps or workflows that execute actions based on your customer's oldest outstanding invoice. So I'm going to pull open a few plans that I have set up here today. This is what I call my good customer plan. So this might be something I assign to my premium accounts or those who are notorious for making their payments on time. We have a high risk plan there. This is something I might assign to my previously late paying customers. And then a regular collection plan. Maybe by default I assign this to all of my customers or new customers by default. Now again, these plans here, collection plans, are all configurable. They're being suggested based on the due date of your customer's oldest outstanding invoice. So if we're looking at the steps in this regular plan here, the first step we send is actually 7 days before the invoice is due. What's happening is we're executing an action called soon due. Now we get to drill into any of these actions here to review that. I'm going to drill into this soon due action. I notice right away that this action happens to be a letter that the customer gets. We drill into that letter ID. You see it pulls open the letter maintenance window that we just covered. In this letter, we're letting them know that they have invoices with us that will soon be considered overdue. The invoices to be attached to this email include all invoices not overdue. And then in the body of the email, we include all invoice details with some collector information as well. So that's how you would attach those collection letters to your actions and have those automatically sent. Now this is going to take your customer through the steps in this plan as long as their invoice has not been paid. So 5 days past due, we send a reminder. 14 days, we're scheduled to make a phone call. 30 to 45 days, a couple letters, so on and so forth. Coming into 90 days past due, the final action. So the final action, or really any action, is just a reminder to your collector internally. You got customer so-and-so, 90 days past due, we need to put their account on hold, or maybe we just send them to a legal department. So once the customers reach that last step, you have two options. Number one, you keep repeating that last step. So maybe we just send the customer an email telling them their account is on hold. Or we could have the plan stop suggesting next action. In that case, you would have to determine manually what you want to do with that customer. Maybe that's a good time to send them to a collection agency. Last thing here is the minimum amount due. This allows you to set a floor for each of your collection plans. If your customer's invoice does not meet this minimum amount here, it will not take them through the steps in this plan. And you can set different minimums here for each plan that you have set up. So the question here now is, okay, so we have a customer assigned to this collection plan, but how are we actually executing these steps, or actions rather? We're going to do that from this plan processing window. Now it is a bigger window, so bear with me, but what we're looking at is all of our customers on a collection plan scheduled to get their next action. So we can sort these customers in a number of ways. I can look at all of my customers with a balance, overdue customers. I can sort by a collector or query that I've built, or I can just look at all the customers who have reached the end of their plan. Today, let's choose overdue customers. Now, in the PowerPoint, I had mentioned we can group these customers based on the plan they're assigned to. So first and foremost, we can filter by the customer name. We can sort by the collection plan they're assigned to, last action they received, or next action they're scheduled to get. So let's group these customers quick. I'll do next action first. So you can see that's only grouping the customers that are scheduled to get their first letter as their next action. So at that time, I could come in and process all those customers. But for today's demoing purposes, I'm going to change that back to all, because the overall goal of this window is for you to be able to come in here, review your customers, and the actions they're scheduled to get. Let's say you're running through this list and you're like, hey, advanced tech satellite. I just spoke with that customer yesterday on the phone. You can select that customer as we just did here. That's going to open up the documents that are due for payment for that customer in the middle. We can pick and choose which ones we want to include for this action. And then the bottom here, we have the note text. We can just modify that and say, hey, Griff, I know we spoke on the phone yesterday. I just wanted to send you those invoices that you owe on. You can modify that quickly and then process just that customer. Or you can come up into the queue, delete that customer, and that takes them out of the queue temporarily. How temporarily? Let me just show you here quick. So I drill out of that plan processing window, come back in here, click overdue customer. You can see there's advanced tech satellite again. Again, it's very temporary that we're taking them out because we do want to make sure that we follow up on their next action. So again, the overall goal of this window is for you to be able to come in here, do a quick review of these customers and the actions they're scheduled to get. Once we have gone through that review, we can process all those customers. It's going to pull up one final report for you here, showing you everything that happens on each of your plans. So you can see on our good customer plan, we're sending out 8 emails of a final letter, 5 emails of a first letter. You can see we're scheduled to make phone calls there. What's on the high risk and regular plans as well. But let's say we have a customer assigned to get their next action, but they don't have an email address set up. It is going to warn you to go back and set them up with an email address, as you can see here. Otherwise, down at the bottom, we do have the option to send those who do have an email, print those who do not. In that case, you'd have to send the printed ones through the mail or however you wanted to contact that customer. So that is the automated collection plan there. Last two windows I want to show you here. First is going to be this receivable summary inquiry window. So this allows your managers or really anybody to review accounts receivable summary information. You can do it by a specific credit manager, a query that you've built, or a parent company, and really see how each credit manager is doing in regards to their collecting. Or if you leave blank like I have right now and click calculate, it's going to do all of your accounts receivables for you. So this top portion here, that's your standard receivable summary information. The middle portion here, that's the summary information on your notes. So we get to see how many disputed notes we have. I can drill in and find that disputed note. How many promise to pay notes we have. We can drill into any of these links here. But the two most important fields are going to be, first of all here, notes past a contact date. So I see that I have 3 notes that have already gone past their contact date. Let's follow up with them first. And then the most important field on this window is going to be overdue documents not on a note. Again, bear with me, my demoing data here, and it's showing that I have nearly $1 million of past due invoices that I don't have a note for. So essentially, I don't know why they haven't been paid. From here, a credit manager could drill into that there, assign those to different collectors for follow-ups, or you could use it as a call-down list and just assign those customers to new collection notes. The bottom portion here, that's your customers aging. Last window to wrap up today's demonstration then is this Days Sales Outstanding calculator. This allows your users to pick a specific period and calculate the DSO for that period. So I got my date set there, calculating it does that for you, showing your sales for that period, average sales per day, your sales that are outstanding, and your days sales outstanding. You can then add that to a log here at the bottom, track your DSO over time, and the way we have collections set up now by default, it actually tracks that DSO for you every time you log into GP. So that being said, that wraps up today's collections demonstration. First and foremost, just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to view collections management. I do appreciate that. I'm pulling open some contact details now at this time, but let's go ahead and take that final Q&A. Sabrina, did we have any questions come across?
Nope, I didn't see any come through. I know we had some issues connecting with some folks, but I'm going to send them the recording, so if we have any questions from them later after they view the recording, we'll let you know. But does anybody on the line right now have any questions about collections management?
We're good to go. Griffin will pass them along if they do. We thank you so much for presenting.
Not a problem.
And those that couldn't attend.
I do have my contact details. Sorry. Yeah, like I said, I do have my contact details pulled open on the screen here as well, so if anybody has any direct questions for me, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to assist. But Christina and Sabrina, I do appreciate you letting me hop on here today to demonstrate collections. Yeah, if you have any follow-ups on your end, obviously don't hesitate to send those my way. And then I'm looking forward to working with those customers.